looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away. All right, here we go again. Now, quick couple words. I think it is probably time for me to put an effort to hopefully offer up an option for everyone to join my Rumble channel from here, if they want to. Why? I think the time's coming where everybody's gonna have to start getting a little angry about not being able to speak for real. I mean, everybody's been saying it for a long time. It's getting really bad right now. I just opened up a Google AdSense. Google AdSense, it's a item that's attached to your YouTube channel, I think, or whatever it is. Anyways, I cracked it open, and there's a big note there from Google that says flat out that you will be demonetized or taken down if you say something about the current war that they don't agree with. Now, that is absolutely in your face, yet once again, somebody trying, I mean, can you imagine that? Imagine if you say, I don't know, whoever, some family member got annihilated in the war, and then you knew deep down it was all because of politicians, and you're pissed and you want to complain and tell the truth about what may have happened with your family member, and they don't want you to say it. Or anything else for that matter, right? That's not right. So, how do we get all of the people here to go over there? Now, Rumble is a place where you can, it's free speech, period. And I just noticed that they had a major serious cyber attack on them just yesterday, I think. A day ago or today. They've had a whole bunch lately of, they're getting attacked cyberly, I guess, whatever it is, where somebody goes in and tries to hack into the Rumble place and annihilate it. Isn't that crazy, right? There is some very dark bastards out there that don't want you to know everything, don't want you to talk about anything unless they allow it. And that's, I believe, one of the 7 worst sins, isn't it? Coercion thing. But anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. I guess I will have to start doing that slowly, attempting to migrate over there completely to help the fight for free speech, which is helping every single one of you and myself, and try to get everybody to go over there. All right, so that's what I will be doing shortly. In the meantime, I think that's all the babble I've got for right now, and I got to get some voices heard. I don't know how much longer I'm in jail with the other channel. Not sure. I should be up in a few days, I think. I don't know. I have to look into that. But anyways, let's read this. This is titled Regard Owlman. All right. Steve, I forgot to mention this and feel it's important. You don't have to read this out loud if it's too much, but it is right down to what Owlman said. I was shown and seeing what Sasquatch wants me to see, or I'm seeing through their eyes. It is what it is. I cannot deny this or say it's not true because this happened to me. I was shown about the dog man and was absolutely given the same feeling and shown that correlates with Mr. Zoe Man said regarding dog man. It started with me actually asking the same question. What the hell is dog man? In fact, why did I never fear Sasquatch and felt such a deep, kind draw to them, but do not with this dog man, ? Every time I think about it, or whatever the hell it is, there's something screaming inside of me, this is not good. As I closed my eyes, it was like I was staring at trees in the woods. Then I saw one single dog man walk out around a tree out in the open. I saw that it actually was on 2 legs. It had a gray, white, and black fur like salt and pepper hair. Let me be clear. I've never physically seen one of these things in my physical life here. I then see his, what would be paws, was more drawn out like human fingers. It was a male. Its legs actually seemed like they were bent, kind of like you if you stand up a dog holding it by their front paws. The back, or I guess legs, bent slightly. Its bottom paw, like feet, were elongated but still looked like a paw. As I looked at its face, this wolf-like face-like thing then slowly started to morph into a man's face. I saw this clearly because it somehow had man-like features from the beginning. Excuse me. As it morphed into the man's face, it started to truly turn into a man in a soldier uniform. He had a high, tight haircut or a green... He had a high, tight haircut, a green uniform, and black boots. And this is what I was shown. I saw this in my mind, awake, not asleep. I guess some of the people say they can remote view, and some can see. I was told I was one who walks and sees between worlds. I can't deny this, and this is absolutely what I know and feel to be true. I think there's a reason why we deeply feel there is something off, not good, not natural about the dog man. I do not want to say my personal opinions on this, but this is what I was shown with the help of medicine man, Sasquatch, and guided by protective help. This is my truth. And at this point, where I am in life, all those that call BS and turn the other way, I'll still be here when you're ready. All right. I don't think you said, you emailed me before. I'm not sure if you said I could use your name or not, so in that case, I'm not going to share your name, but you are from Alaska, and that's one hell of an email. That's a lot for your average Joe to pick up and chew on, right? But please, keep emailing me back with your knowledge, all right? The more you learn, the more I want to learn, and I'm going to be the sponge. So, absolutely appreciate you sent that in, and send more, all right? Send more. Here is another one. It's titled, "Did anyone else see that swinging juvenile sabe in your video?" It's the title of this email. Hello, Steve, and those of the round table. I'm so thankful for all of you. Steve, I can't thank you enough for being the man you are. You single-handedly created and established a forum for truth seekers. Additionally, I must add that this round table is not just about the sabe, but how we are all connected to a much bigger parallel than any of us knew about. Everyone's share has fed our knowledge and has given us the reassurance that we truly are not alone in this quest for answers, and the bigger picture is huge. Video entitled, 2 new Sasquatch photos and 2 sound recordings sent in. Recording number 2 starts at 26 minutes and 26 seconds. He will pan the video left then right. He will concentrate on the middle of his view, which consists of a silhouette of forest trees broken by 3 V shapes of light in between breaks in the forest. I identify this view as V light, V light, V light, left, middle, right. First appearance is in the middle lower portion of the V light moving left at 27 minutes and 39 seconds. You can then see a tall, bare tree trunk swinging by itself in the left portion of the V light at 27 minutes and 54 seconds. You can watch him/her have fun. Then he/she leaves, swinging to the right at 28 minutes and 18 seconds. Within the same second, he/she appears in the middle portion of the V light in the same second, 28 minutes and 18 seconds. 1 second later, you can see him/her dart off to the right portion of the V light at 28 minutes and 19 seconds. The last visual is in the right portion of the V light, where he/she is swinging back to the left at 28 minutes and 28 seconds. So, simply put, between 27 minutes and 39 seconds and 28 minutes and 28 seconds, you can see this juvenile sabe having a great time. I believe all the noise, the screaming, is his mom yelling at him to tell him he didn't come home when she turned the porch light on. Much respect to you and the round table. Cheryl Scarborough, Houston, Texas. Okay, Cheryl, thanks for the heads up. I'll hopefully I remember to go check that out myself, and you guarantee you just knee-jerked a bunch of our sleuths to go check that out. Sounds interesting to me. It won't be the first time somebody spotted something in the videos, right? It won't be the first time, and it won't surprise me either. All right, what else do we got? This is titled Upstate New York. Hello, Steve. Second go around, maybe I forgot to put a mask on my email to enter Canada. I've been listening to you for some time and got triggered of an experience I had many years ago, and also had another a few years ago. You can say my name. Don't worry about saying it correctly, just let it rip. Domenico Farinaccio. It has been butchered many times. It's all right, I hope I got it. It was 1980 when I was 13 years old. My family owned some land in Delaware County, New York. Myself and my father hunted this property every year until his passing in 2012. When it happened, in December, on Tuesday afternoon, 1980, days before it. I bothered my father to go hunting and not worry about school that day. I had a half a day at school and my grades were good and the forest was perfect. So, we decided to leave early to reach the property. It was a beautiful day. 40s, clear, and a very slight breeze from the north, the west. I was just wearing an orange vest, no rifle, too young to have a hunting permit, and my father in orange with a 30-30 Marlin. We set up on our property, and for hours, not seen a thing or even hear a thing. It was strange, so silent. It was loud, if that makes sense. So I decided to talk my father into still hunting because we just had one day there and maybe we'll kick up a bedding whitetail. Off we went in a northerly direction climbing this mountain. Not large, behind our land, very slowly stopping every 90 to 100 feet, here to my left. He to my left. We got 3/4 up and turned west. Now with the breeze in our face again, he's to my left about 20 feet and on a lower grade. We covered quite a few acres now. We were like two cats stalking for a meal, very quiet. Then, hard to explain, a roar, moan, growl, very loud, but not like a cow, comes out to my right, like I have a stereo on 10 next to me, and I felt it in my bones. Me and my father froze, like we just looked at a Medusa. The sound lasted a few seconds. We looked at each other, just moving our eyes and thinking, what the hell? Then my father says it. What the hell was that? He wasn't moving, but his eyes were looking at me and past me up the mountain. I decided to slowly move my head to my right as much as I can slowly, and then to my left as much as I can. Didn't see nothing. Now it's heavily wooded, broken off trees, tree stumps, etc. So I say, Pops, it's not a cow or a moose. Nearest cow is 2 miles in the valley down the road. Not up any mountains, and as far as for moose, we would have saw it, or a cow because of their size. I also said, Pops, no bear. Black bear would have left us a long time ago if it winded us. So we just stood there a few more seconds, not moving, just eyeballing every tree and inch of the ground. Then my father says, raising the Marlin up to show me, well, this ain't gonna kill it. I'm saying to myself, what the hell does that mean? Steve, my family came Italy. I think he meant my family came from Italy, so they know nothing of Bigfoot. Me, at that age, saw it on TV, the Patterson film, and thought it was a California thing. We decided to head back down and leave. What triggered this memory was listening of experiences hunters had at tree stumps that rose. There are many large tree stumps where we hunted, and I concentrated on looking for an animal, horizontal and movement. Later that week, I came home from school, and my father calls me into the basement. Here, look what I bought. Stevie bought a .444 Marlin and shows me around, and he says, this'll kill it. I say, that gun will destroy a deer. His response, I know, and also that thing. Steve wouldn't speak of this to anyone, and we didn't talk about it with each other ever. I wrote to you and recently told my mother and my sisters, and they didn't know nothing of it. So my dad didn't speak of it either. My second experience is 2017. I'm with my son, and we now have a pole barn on the land. It's November. I had a nice fire going in front of the barn. It was 9:30 p.m. And out of nowhere, straight down our driveway, an effing whoop, loud and long. My son's opened like Scooby-Doo. He was 14 at the time, and I said to him, don't move. I was near the front door. I grabbed the 870 and said to him, I'm going to shoot the flashlight in that direction. If we see eyes shine along the ground, we're okay. If it's above me, we're leaving. Steve, saw nothing, heard nothing. And these two sounds I heard only once hunting there in 45 years. I did one time hear owls hooting to each other at night. It was a little strange. I still go hunting, and with my kids, who both have their license, and my daughter, who recently got her first whitetail. My wife stays home, LOL. So you just want to thank you for providing the stage for us to unload. I'm more alert and listening to my gut. I hope this helps someone. Also, just received the How to Hunt hat. Beautiful. Next, the hoodie. Purchase. Is it possible to have "I didn't ask for it" printed on the back? Be safe and God bless. We the people must win. PS for you only. Okay, man. Thank you. And thank you for that email, man. Absolutely appreciate it. I'm just glad that you're reaching out, and I love it when people add in, hopefully this helps someone, right? That's why we're doing this. Good for you, and still going hunting too, and keeping everybody informed. Just keep informing everybody honestly, no matter how crazy shitty of experience you have. It doesn't matter, all right? It doesn't matter. You get it out, you share it. I want to know. So does everybody else. Everybody has the right to know. No more bullshit, right? No more bullshit. All right, here we go. No title on this one. I'm 83 years young. I've been watching your YouTube channel for about 2 years and listening to many emails daily. It's very generous of you to give your time, YouTube channel, and all expenses to the world. I thank you, and may God bless you for this world. Education channel on Bigfoot/Sasquatch. So many people are speculating that the Nephilim are part of this creature. Where is there evidence or proof? After watching your show on May 7th, 2022, I feel I have the prime puzzle piece that you and the world is looking for. All right. We have enough evidence now with DNA results to present them to God's holy word and see what he has to say about this very, very elusive creature. Yes, God has much to say about this. First, let's review the DNA evidence. The human side of Bigfoot/Sasquatch comes from a female human egg, the male side from sperm of an unknown primate, not our planet. Anytime human DNA is combined with animal DNA, this is called an abomination. Leviticus chapter 20:16, and if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. Exodus chapter 22:19, whosoever layeth with a beast shall surely put to death. Leviticus 20:25, Deuteronomy 27:21, Leviticus 18:23-30. God declares Bigfoot/Sasquatch an abomination to himself and likewise to humanity, as we humans were created in God's image. These dastardly, damnable, filthy, nasty, malicious, very elusive, sneaky, cannibalistic creatures do not have any rights to claim our forest or even one grain of sand on our planet. Only pure human beings and God-created animals have the rights to claim our forest. It is quite obvious the dominant DNA in these creatures is primate. They possess a very high lack of respect for anything human. The scriptures are from the old King James Version. I pray this puzzle piece is the most important puzzle piece for everyone's puzzle. It certainly is for my puzzle. Jesus said in Luke 21:26, men's hearts fail them for fear and for looking after these things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. In closing, every word of this email is 100% truth for your Worldwide Truth podcast. Anything below this line will be pure speculation on my part over my years of study on the subjects of Bigfoot, UFO, and aliens. All right, there we go. You have been heard, sir. You've been heard. Some will agree, some will disagree. And hopefully everyone takes from what they will or leaves what they don't need, right? But everybody gets heard. All right, here we go. Here's another one. This is titled My 2 Cents. Hi, Steve. Thanks for all you do to help all those in need. The experiences I've had are not glamorous, but happened all the same. I'm 53 and I've lived in Alabama all my life. I grew up hunting and loving the outdoors in general. Dirt bikes, ATVs, guns, cars, boats, hunting, fishing, etc. You know the drill. I was always taught to respect nature and that there was always something to learn from it. That being said, I always took into consideration there was always some possibility of the unknown around the corner. So with that general attitude, I never considered anything too weird. Why? Because nature, we don't know everything. I assume with the time you spent in Alabama, you get what I'm saying. As in with as much as we all have in common, we also have our unique regional characteristics, lol. So my experience, as in my teens. Me and my dad belonged to a hunting club a couple hours from home in the Auburn area. There's great hunting, lots of timber, and good people. I picked out what I felt like a hot spot to hunt in the afternoons after the dog drives the club put on in the mornings and midday. One particular evening, I set out to my hunting spot. I parked my vehicle and proceeded to walk the following half a mile or so to my stand. Normal day, sunny, little or no breeze. I was sitting there. All seems normal. Then all of a sudden, a noise as if a log skidder took off through the trees. I was on a tree line looking across a cut area to another tree line that came to a corner about 150 yards away, which is where the noise came from. No trees were moving as there was no wind at that moment, except for one. It was a white oak about 40 to 50 feet tall and about 12 inches at the base. It was swaying like a car antenna when you hit a limb going through the woods. It was on a hillside overlooking this area. I could see the ground around this tree. I was thinking, that's weird. How did that happen? At this point, I was focused better on the area, and about the time everything calmed down, that same tree appeared to be hit again. Only this time, about halfway, it snapped in half, and the treetop fell in place while the lower half continued to sway like a flicked car antenna. Then nothing. A few leaves rustled around on the ground, just in the immediate area, and nothing else. At the time, I just shrugged it off. Weird stuff in the woods, no biggie. So about an hour later, it started getting dark, and I decided to head back to the truck. As I was walking in the distance, I heard coyotes howling, which surprised me because they were not common to the area at the time. I think it was about the first time I have ever heard them in there. So, with that, I got an uneasy feeling, because even though they seemed a good ways away, I could hear what sounded like dogs running around in the same direction. I couldn't see that far by that time because it was pretty much dark by then. My dad had taught me to never use a light if I didn't have to because it would be less disturbing to the area. Well, by now, I was just about to my vehicle when I was walking under a large tree limb that hung out over the old road bed I was in. As I walked under it, 2 turkeys came off the roost and flew away. They about gave me a heart attack. It sounded like Chinook took off about 5 feet over my head. LOL. There were also many times hunting when I felt like I would catch things moving behind the trees, or maybe a strong distorted area in the distance that would seem to all of a sudden start to clarify when it directed my attention that way. Not in the way like when you blink your eyes to clear them, but like a small, particular, specific area. Me, my dad, and a couple friends chased a noise around in the woods one night that sounded like 2 large nails being clinked together. We eventually chalked it up to being a little bird. That's my story. Not flashy, but it all happened. I also have a theory of sorts. In some of the stories, people report walking into a certain area and it will seem off or distorted or even missing features from standing in a spot just feet from that particular spot. What if our dimension and the dimension these beings are in a sense overlapping grids? And each section of those grids worked like the simulator's room on Star Trek, each one independent from another. And then those rooms were operated by a dormant part of our mind that we can't access the way these beings can to operate them, kind of like in the Matrix or an Avatar, but without all the wires. I believe these ideas in these movies and TV shows are based of some previous concepts. They did not come out of thin air, so to speak. You could also use the idea of a layered cake, in which random pieces of the cake are replaced by pieces of another cake, then the cake is iced. So from the outside, it looks normal, and you will not find an anomaly until you get into the cake. I'm curious to know what David P. would think about this. Well, that's all I have. I hope it wasn't disappointing. Thanks for reading. Prayers for you, your family, and all those listening. Okay, a note for me. I'll read that. 1 second. Okay, man, gotcha. Appreciate it. No problem. Fully understand. Now, that tree thing, that would freak the living shit out of me if I seen something like that. That would be absolutely bizarre, would it not? You know, the majority of times people hear trees getting smashed and pushed down to the ground. It's only the sound. Very rarely do we have people saying they seen the tree, right? And quick note, a few of these emails are keep jerking my memory back to a friend of mine who doesn't believe in these beings. A guy from New Zealand, very A-type. I may have told this before. And the topic came up, and then he said that one time, me and another friend of his, a guy I know in Whistler, British Columbia, they were float tubing and trout fishing at Logger Lake. Logger Lake is just south of Whistler. Okay, guys? Logger Lake. Anyway, apparently there's a high rock wall or peak or something right there that blocks, it would have been the upcoming moon, right? And they were in, there's a bright, full moon, bright night. They're drinking too. They had some Mickey bottles of whiskey or something with them, so they're drinking. They're floating around, being a couple of doorknobs in the lake. It's dark out and the full moon comes up. So they were in a shadow in the lake. They're in the lake, in their tubes, drinking and fishing in the darkness, but they were in the shadow of the bank or the rock faces near there. And he said that when they came out of the shadow into the moonlight, something took off beside them on the side of the lake, and they said it sounded like, and was the speed of, a full-on galloping horse. And he said it was smashing those spruce trees over like a Mack truck was flying through the timber. And that's what they experienced right there, Logger Lake in Whistler. So any of you guys who live in the back at home, and you're familiar with this channel, and you live in Squamish, Pemberton, or wherever, if you have had an experience around there, I want to add to that and send it my way, all right? I'm curious. And as for you, sir, whose email I just read, thank you so much for that. And if I find myself back down there again, for sure I'll look you up. For sure I will. But right now, our corrupt government, your corrupt government, doesn't want anybody landing on U.S. soil unless you've had a forced injection. Not cool, is it? So, I won't be flying, maybe if I drive over, but that will not be happening to me in this lifetime if I'm standing on my 2 feet on my own. Now anyway, moving along before I start. This is called A Small Bit Story But Real. I'm female, now 68 years old, spent 20 years living in the wooded areas when my kids were young with their dad, who was a logger, hunter, and a trapper. Sometimes money was an issue, but I learned so much. Not to hunt, but what I can butcher and can about anything. We never died from hunger, my father's joke. We'd gotten the opportunity to rent a 20 by 30-foot cabin, no water, did have electricity, east of Deer Lake in northeastern Washington State for $45 a month. No way. It also had a 3-sided open beam type shed. It was on 150 wooded acres near the top of a small mountain/hill. That sounds like paradise to me. One night about 2 a.m. we woke flat up and sat up because of this horrible stench. It was that bad. A feeling of dread was on my husband and I, and our Doberman Pinscher dog jumped on us, growling, shivering, and shaking like crazy. Usually for her to do the shiver and shake. Unusual for her to do the shiver and shake. She was terrified, and I was too. My husband must have been, because he said, "Just lay still and don't go outside." No problem. We heard the chickens and ducks who were roosting in the shed alarming loudly, then silence. Slowly, the smell moved away with a bit of a branch and twig cracking noises, and the feeling of dread left. At dawn, we found that all the ducks and 3 chickens were gone. No feathers, just gone. The chickens roosted 12 feet up, the ducks on the ground. The dog didn't like being in the shed at all. Curious, you'd think the dog would have wanted to sniff around. She went and hid under our bed. My husband said it must have been a bear, but I've been near many bears. Yes, some smell strong, but not like this did. He could track anything and walked around, but never shared his conclusions. After hearing the people's and your stories, I am convinced it was a Save passing through. It didn't return. In all our many years of forest living, I have felt that dread several times, but this was only time that I smelled that odor. I'll never forget it. P.S. 4 years later, we bought a house near Sullivan Lake, near Canada and Idaho in Washington State. A herd of elk used to go through a long road just inside a herd of elk used to go through a long road just inside of near tree line. They would stop and watch me garden. We had 2 horses in a corral, so maybe watching them too. I could hear them and see bits of the trees. Never got into the garden, just watched. This area is near the now Salmo Basin Wilderness area, and I often would like to hike around, day camp, pick berries in the forest. When I felt that dread, I would slowly backtrack and go another way or leave. Never saw, never smelled anything. So much we don't know about or understand in our world. Someday the Creator will tell us all, I hope. Blessings, Steve, on you and yours. All right. Appreciate it. And you know how many people have wrote into the same description of the smell and the same reaction. And how bizarre is it? Isn't it weird that a scent can make a human being start to shit themselves with terror? Isn't that bizarre? Like, I haven't experienced that yet. Will I? I don't know, probably. I know I smelt the smell once, but we thought it was roadkill and then we carried on hunting and we came back. It was near Humpback Road, South Vancouver Round, where there's been absolute shit piles of sightings. And I wasn't even aware there were sightings there at that time, but I smelt that smell going in the timber off that road, and it was like, holy, something's dead here, holy shit. And then we kept on going. Then on the way back later in the afternoon, we did big circles all around there to see if, maybe it's a big buck hit by a car or something, and there's nothing. Smell's gone. No, nothing anywhere. But I didn't feel the terror. Now, what else do we have? Oh, here's another one from one of our superhero First Nations ladies. Listen to this. Hello, Steve. Please don't reveal my name. I gotcha. Hi, Steve and Sarah. I heard you read Owl Man's knowledge and experiences about 2 weeks ago. He mentioned that the elders, referring to us, might have some input on what he was talking about. Excuse me. One of the things he mentioned was how Sasquatch would kill pets. That's never happened to our pets. Our dogs would bark and follow Sasquatch as he passed through the reservation. There were never any incidences of our pets getting killed or even mauled. I suppose it's because our elders taught us to talk to the Sasquatch and let them know to not trespass on our land, and we didn't trespass on theirs. Elders said that if we passed through their land, we would let them know and leave them a gift. According to the elders, they are not allowed to kill our people, and we're not allowed to kill them because they are people. There has never been a case of them killing a person because they know they would have to answer to the Creator. They are afraid of the Creator. Sorry. According to the elders, they are not allowed to kill our people, and we're not allowed to kill them because they are people. There has never been a case of them killing a person because they know they would have to answer to the Creator, and they are afraid of the Creator. He also mentioned that Sasquatch sees us as we actually are. Elders teach that they see our intentions and motives. They can see your spirit. According to elders, we also used to do that. Since contact, that ability and many others have been dimmed. We were taught by elders that they, the Sasquatch, never ever destroy or annihilate food sources by over-harvesting or killing for no reason. We were taught to manage the forest and water resources. Everything was pristine before contact. We were taught to never completely deplete any resources. Elders taught that you talked to any entity and Sasquatch about any subject. Elders said they never ever spoke to our spirit and that their spirit is different than our people. We tell them, they don't tell us anything. Elders taught that we have protection from spiritual attacks. Elders never ever taught us about the dogman, wolfman, or werewolves. Maybe that's what's known as those things we call shapeshifters. We were taught about we were taught about shapeshifters. Holy shit. Elders never ever taught us about the dogman, wolfman, or werewolves. maybe what's known as those things we call shapeshifters. We were taught about shapeshifters. Happy New Year. P.S. If the Owl Man wants to talk to us, we will talk to him through you. All right. Thanks for that short note and quick clip of knowledge for the people. Appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. And don't be shy in sending in the emails. Keep them coming. All right. There we go. We heard it from our First Nation superhero elders. Again, I'm going to read one more and then I get going. Tree crushing and oinking like pigs is the title of this one. Hi, Steve, Jim Barkley again. You asked for more stories after you read the wild brush smashing incident we experienced at the Fish Fry in 2012. So here's two more stories, which I sent previously in late 20 and early 21, but they seem to have gotten lost in your avalanche of emails, so I'm resending them now. First story. After listening to David Paulides' conversation with James Fay and the account of the owner of the Bluff Creek Resort being killed by a falling tree in a windstorm, well, it triggered a memory of a somewhat similar incident my father-in-law and I witnessed in August of '84. In this case, we had pulled up to our usual parking spot at an old corral on a bench above the river canyon, the same river in my 2012 story, and we were about to get out and hike down to the river to fish when a sudden, violent, unexpected windstorm hit. We decided to hold up to see if the wind would blow down when a bachelor herd of mule deer compromised of 7 bucks came running in beside us about 35 yards away. They were spooked, probably by the wind, we thought. They were confused, milling about in a tight circle in a copse of large dead cottonwoods. When the trees around them suddenly started to blow over, coming close to crushing some of the bucks. It was about 8 trees in all, over the course of about 25 seconds. At the end of which the deer got organized and bolted off up the hill and were gone. The wind dropped off immediately afterwards. My father-in-law and I sat there stunned. The trees in the immediate area around the deer were the only ones blowing down, and only one tree at a time. None of the falling trees struck the other trees to knock them down, and they were falling in all different directions, not just downwind. But one thing for sure, they all fell towards the deer. To this day, I'm confused as to what actually occurred by the corral that day. The trees looked as if they were manually forced over and directed at the individual bucks. Okay, nothing got hurt, including us, but none of the trees actually came down in our direction. Thinking about it now, the sudden onset of the windstorm and the sudden end, a coincidence? No way. At this point, I think back to the disappearing hairy bastard east of Prince George on infamous Highway 16 in 2015, my story you previously read, and maybe there lies a possible explanation to what was actually pushing those trees down. Just saying. Second story. It occurred late September '78 in the foothills about 65 miles southwest of Calgary. On this trip, myself, my father-in-law, and a friend were elk hunting, and the rut was in full swing. I'd driven my '69 GMC short box 4x4 down an old trail alongside a muskeg to the base of some hills we called the Sugar Loaves. So I hiked west up through the ridges, frequently blowing my elk call. In late afternoon, I got a response from high up on the ridge west of my location. I kept moving downhill towards him, occasionally bugling, the bull doing the same, heading downhill towards me and replying back to my calls. It was now starting to get late, close to the end of legal shooting. Cresting a low knoll near the bottom of my ridge, I had the bull right there in the timber across from me, probably within 200 yards as he was still coming down. I decided to wait on top of the knoll as it was a height advantage position, and the bull he was coming down through was thick timbered but not quite open in the bottom. Now it gets strange. Right below me, on the side of the knoll, about 40 yards down but obscured by thick brush, it sounded like 2 elk or moose fighting. There was several heavy antler rattling sessions, my best guess being moose sheds, followed by a couple of breaks in which the animals would oink several times like pigs. Steve, this sounded like someone/something trying to emulate a pig oinking. Could have been a human, but who the hell is way back in the foothills near dark, 5 miles from the nearest 4x4 trail, rattling big antlers and oinking like a pig? This is starting to sound like a scene from Deliverance. At this point, I'm totally befuddled and a little nervous. Hillbillies will do that to you. Anyway, I'd never heard any game animal make that sound like that. Make a sound like that. Okay, so it's close to the end of legal light, and I still haven't seen the bull elk or figured out what the combatants below me actually were. I blow one more call. The elk answers. Things are going great. The bull stops maybe 100 yards away when all hell breaks loose. The animals below me go crashing off at a great speed through the brush, head straight up towards the bull elk. I never saw the dirty oinkers depart, so no positive ID made. After a few seconds, it's dead quiet. I can't hear anything. Everyone's buggered off. But with faint hope, I give one more call. Nothing. It's over. Time to go. But my brain is working overtime trying to process what the hell just happened. I hiked back down to the truck and found my father-in-law and my friends standing beside the truck in the dark, discussing what had just happened to them. I told them my story. They told me theirs. Apparently, they met up just before dark and walked back together on a seismic line to the truck. Something big walked along beside them in the timber about 40 yards away, grunting at them. My father-in-law said it was grunting like a bull moose, but it didn't sound right. Whenever they stopped, it stopped. It escorted them all the way back to the truck. Then silence, nothing more was heard. My father-in-law laughed about the attempted intimidation by whatever the hell that was. He suspected it was some psycho hunter trying to freak them out. Back in the hills, many miles from the nearest road after dark, get a life. I found out years later my father-in-law had other run-ins with these damn things, but knowing nothing about Sasquatch, he never did put a name to them. The log padding incident on the logging truck, which you read previously, being a prime example of his lack of knowledge slash understanding on the subject. So, if that was a Sasquatch below me oinking, then they were rattling the bull in with some sheds, and I was inadvertently aiding and abetting them with the bugling. In any case, they totally screwed up my hunt. Thanks, Steve, for all your support to the dazed and confused out there who just want some open-minded support without asinine eye-rolling ridicule. By the way, got your book for Christmas. Apparently Santa, who's a non-believer, was listening and took my covert hints. I'm reading it now and think Santa's reading 50 Shades of Bigfoot. Thanks again, Steve, for all you do. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Yeah, you too, man. Keep writing me back whenever you can with whatever you got. All right, Jim? I appreciate your time you just donated and all your other time. I hope there's nothing else I missed. But anyway, I'm going to get ripping. And before I always forget tons of shit I want to share with all the people out there. But before I go, I'm nonstop getting people saying, where's the Rumble channel link? And if I mention it, I always put it in the video description. But so I looked at the channel. I just put on what's been my original email address since I first ever had an email, which is ProGuide66. And I called that Rumble channel by that name by accident, filling out the forums to get on there. And apparently you cannot change the name of your Rumble channel. You have to build another one. So maybe I should do that. I guess I will possibly create a channel and maybe we'll call it the Round Table of Knowledge or the Club of No Return. One or the other. And then we will start to non-stop try to encourage as many of all you here to head on over there so that we can talk openly and freely and not have these Nazi ass sons of bitches suppressing our voices and telling us what we can or can't talk about. That's a serious, major violation. That is I'll bite my lip there. You know how I feel about it. So that's what I'm going to do, all right? I'm going to start a new Rumble channel. And I think the other one's got 10 or 14 or 15,000 people following already, but we'll have to migrate everybody over because it's pretty hard. I'm understanding it is quite hard for a lot of people to find it. Maybe it's probably because of the name of the channel, I guess. I don't know. So maybe we'll start it again with the appropriate title, and we'll hammer away and promote free speech as much as we frickin' can. All right? We'll be back shortly.